Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with a very overdue Blu-ray DVD collection update. If I can adjust my hat a little bit. This thing's fucking tighter than it was last night. Um, I've got a few releases here that I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to wait until this very big release came out in order to do this video, and thankfully it has finally come out. It has finally arrived. So starting it off, we got a new release from AGFA, the America Genre Film Archive, in collaboration with Bleeding Skull. It is their new release of Jungle Trap on Blu-ray. This had a DVD release from Bleeding Skull Video, and I think it went out of print, or it was like limited, and I heard about it and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me the guy who directed fucking Don't Go in the Woods, this amazingly awful slasher flick, made a sort of cannibal film in the 90s with a VHS camcorder? You're telling me you made a shot-on-video cannibal film? That's got to be the most ambitious type of film to make on such a format. And it isn't entirely a cannibal film. It's actually about like a haunted hotel that's haunted by the ghosts of natives. But still, that's still kind of ambitious because it's still set in the jungle. And it is a fucking mess. It's extremely enjoyable and entertaining, and I had a great time watching it. But it is not a good movie by any means. The bonus film on here is Run Coyote Run, which was a like action sort of spy thriller, I think. Like, yeah, it's like a lost project. That's supposed to be kind of an action film, and it is absolutely fucking broken. It takes footage from... What movies does it take footage from? It takes footage from The Executioner Part 2, which there's no Part 1 to that, which this director also did. Another film that the star of both Jungle Trap and Run Coyote Run was starred in, which was Frozen Scream. And I think that was it. It steals footage from like those two movies within the same few seconds of each other in order to try and cobble this fucking thing together, which is very, very interesting. Pretty entertaining. I enjoyed it. There's another bonus feature on here, which is Horror Con, which was a slasher film that the director attempted to make in the late 80s at a horror convention, but could never finished it. It's about a half hour of silent footage of what they shot, which I haven't watched that yet. But still, there's a ton of special features on here. You know, you've got fucking commentaries and, you know, a making of documentary, outtakes, a bonus film, and what is left of a lost, unmade project, shot on 35mm and remastered and scanned in 2K. That's very, very cool. This is a very good Blu-ray. I highly recommend picking this one up. While it's not my favorite AGFA Blu-ray, that probably would go to their other collaboration with Bleeding Skull, which I think is on one of the shelves behind me, which was the McPherson tape. I really love that one. And Wicked World is another really good one. But this is a very, very solid release from them. And I know it has a Blu-ray slipcover from Vinegar Syndrome if you order it from their website. I didn't because I'm cheap. So, yeah. There's that one. Up next we have another purchase. This one's from a couple months ago. It is Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. This is a film I've recently discovered I really love. I reviewed this on my channel like years ago, and I plan on making a re-review of this one But in my review, I remember saying, I swear, I remember saying in that review that, like, the film was really boring, it was, just not good. But my review was actually somewhat positive, saying that you should see it at least once. Having seen this about 3 times now, I can confirm that this movie only gets better with multiple watches, especially if you didn't like it the first time and you wait a few years. Because, while I did give it a decent score, my score on it lowered more and more as I started to remember it, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, oh, this is fucking amazing. This is honestly probably one of my favorite movies now. It's among that very long list that I keep of, like, I think it's like almost 300 movies that I consider to be, like, my all-time favorites. And this is a Blu-ray from, like, 2013-ish, somewhere around there. 2014. So this Blu-ray release is like pretty old. I think it's about to go out of print actually. But I managed to snag it on eBay for like $15. Couldn't say no. Next, we got Charles Band's Evil Bong. So, yeah, Evil Bong. What can I say about Evil Bong? I mean, look at this. This is garbage, but it's really, really entertaining garbage. I really like this movie, actually. They put Tommy Chong, like, right on the cover with a chainsaw, but, like, he's in it for, like, maybe 5 minutes, but he is the best part of the entire movie. There's a really great line where he's talking about how, like, oh, no, I didn't sell the bong, my wife sold it. She sold my Hot Wheel collection, too. I miss those little cars, man. And it's just, like, that's just, like, the funniest fucking line to me. This film takes place in, like, 2 major settings, which is the bong world and the main character's, like, dorm room. It's very, very cheap. It's a really lame attempt at a stoner comedy, a very lame attempt at a horror film, and as a result, it comes off as like this really weird, like, postmodern remake of Reefer Madness, almost saying, like, if you smoke pot you get sucked into the evil bong world. Like, that's kind of what this movie is going for, but very unintentionally. It's an unintentional, like, postmodern comedy remake of Reefer Madness, and that's probably the best thing about it. It's got some cameos. Bill Moseley is in there, which is kind of cool. The Ginger Dead Man makes an appearance, which is also kind of cool. The, like, Jack in the Box from Demonic Toys makes an appearance. So, this is, like, one of the first films where they were like, hey, let's try to do a crossover here. And I know in the, like, later sequels, they've tried to do crossovers with the Killjoy movies, which, the thing is, the later sequels to Killjoy are actually, like, pretty good movies. And the later Evil Bong movies suck. Only the first one is really worth watching. I've seen all of them, though, because I hate myself. Speaking of hating yourself, I got the new release of Manson family movies from Cult Epics. Usually not a fan of, like, true crime films, especially, horror films that are true crime. But I watched this one, and I thought it was a very interesting film. It's essentially a recreation of the Manson murders and the daily life of the Manson family, but told through the urban legend that they stole cameras and filmed the murders. So this is, like, shot in this, found footage cinema verite style. It looks very realistic at times. It's very rough around the edges. There are times when there are, like, inner titles written on the walls and blood telling you what's being said. The soundtrack is entirely of music performed and written by Charles Manson and the family. It's a very interesting film. Not necessarily a pleasant one and not a very respectful one. But like, this is definitely interesting, and it was shot at like actual locations, like the ranch and the La Bianca house, um, you know, and the thing is, I'm pretty sure that this is just their old release, their old release of Manson Family movies from like years and years ago, that they've just put a new slipcover on, because this is what the old cover art for the old DVD was, and that's what the Cult Epics logo used to look like. This is what it looks like now in that corner there. So I think this is, and I'm pretty sure the year it says on this is 2005. So this is literally just like the same fucking release from 2005, but with a bonus disc of apparently Sharon Tate's home movies. I don't know what that's about. It might be just like, it might actually be home movies, which is like really uncomfortable and creepy, and I don't like that. But still, Manson Family Movies is interesting, and it doesn't even have a plot description on the back of the case. It just has this very long quote from John Waters, basically claiming that this film is a primitive, obsessional, fetishistic tribute to mayhem, murder, and madness. And there's an additional quote, a very short quote, from Kenneth Anger, who, if you don't know who Kenneth Anger is a filmmaker and artist who is a very interesting artist. And he hung out with the Manson family a bit before the murders were committed, and he also knew, like, Anton LaVey, so he had his hands in, like, a lot of stuff. And his debut film, Fireworks, is considered by John Waters to be the most disturbing movie like ever made, up there with Salo, and it's also one of the earliest depictions of homosexuality in a like film, and this is a film from the 40s, and yeah. But Kenneth Anger just gave a quote saying that it looks like the real thing, which, considering that Kenneth Anger was actually there for some of it, I'd believe it. I kind of like this movie. It's like a weird audiovisual collage. I don't think it's something I'm going to put on very often, but, if I want to watch something that's uncomfortable, this is a good little choice. Before I get on to the big release, I want to get the one CD out of the way. So, I started listening to Kraftwerk recently, which is like a, I don't think I have to explain what Kraftwerk is, but it's a kind of German, kind of electronic experimental synth rock sort of group, and I listened to their album Autobahn, and I really liked it, and I was like, I want to buy this on vinyl. So I went to Discogs, bought a used copy on vinyl that was like, that claimed that there was some damage to the sleeve or whatever, but but the disc was mint, or that that it was still mint itself. That the format itself was mint. And I was like, okay, cool, this is like $25, that's not bad for a used copy, and I wanted to get it because I wanted to get the old cover art, because the old cover art is really good. The new cover art for the vinyl re-release is really, like, minimalistic, and it doesn't look very cool. So, going with my friend Andrew, his advice, I went to Discogs. Partially on me, and, I accidentally bought a CD of Autobahn for $25. Now, to be fair, I didn't look at the full listing. It does say it was a CD, but I swear to you, I fucking swear, I selected filter by vinyl only, sort by condition, and this was the first result. And I literally can't prove that I filtered it by vinyl, but I swear to fucking God I did. So now I have a copy of Autobahn by Kraftwerk on CD that is sealed. And this is still in the plastic. It's got like a crack on like the front of the jewel case, which is whatever. I'm never gonna open this though. This is like preserved. This is a collector's item. But this is a CD copy of Kraftwerk from the year 2000. It says so, like, right there. I'm not going to try and get it on camera because it's, like, fucking very small text. But it says it was made in Holland. But yeah, this copy was apparently factory sealed in specifically on the 27th of March 2000. This is a 21-year-old sealed copy of fucking Autobahn. I have this now, and I'm not opening it. I spent $25 on this. So it will go in the background, like right here, right in front of Godzilla, right behind my worm baby, and it will be there forever until the end of time. On to the big release. I've been hyped for this release for many years. I remember in 2018, December of 2018, Severin Films put out a tweet saying that they had found the uncut versions of a few of Andy Milligan's films, and that it was only a small part of a Milligan box set they were going to release. Now, if there's anything you guys need to know about me, is I love Andy Milligan. I think he was a very misunderstood director. I think he was a very interesting director. Maybe not a good director, but his films are interesting, and he was interesting. And they said, oh, it's going to come out in 2019. Well, 2019 comes and goes. Nothing. So I was like, okay, 2020 is going to be the year. That's going to be the year this thing comes together. No, and finally, in late January of this year, they finally announced that they've completed it and that it is going to be up for pre-order, and I pre-ordered it as soon as it went live. I'm talking about the Dungeon of Andy Milligan collection. Not as big and bursting at the seams with films and special features like the Al Adamson set was, which inherently makes this set inferior to the Adamson set. But still, this is very special. This is a very special release. I don't think Andy himself would have ever thought that people would appreciate his work enough to get this nice deluxe release of 14 of his major films. It comes with a little booklet. It's like 127 pages by Stephen Thrower, called Andy Milligan's Venom, which looks to be very interesting. I'm gonna have to give that a read sometime, and but give it a read. I'm probably just gonna skim through it. But there's stuff in here even about The Tale of the Red Rooster, which was a TV show that Milligan directed a few episodes of. And there's even stuff in here about Surgikill, Milligan's final film, as well as Weirdo: The Beginning, which is a really good one that's on Blu-ray. Yeah, there's just a lot here in this little booklet, which is very, very nice. But I believe this set is probably superior to the Adamson set. Not in terms of special features or number of movies, but in terms of how impossible it seemed to get the uncut versions of these films. And because of how Milligan was kind of artistically inclined. He wasn't 100% making art films, but you could tell by watching his work that he worked in theater and that he was trying to make something interesting, trying to make something maybe a bit artistic at times. Which I think inherently makes his work a lot better and a lot more interesting than Adamson's, which is just where Adamson's work is just oh, we just made this cheap movie, and it was bad. But still, uh, the set comes complete with the ghastly ones finally in HD. We got Nightbirds and The Body Beneath. I haven't seen Nightbirds yet. The Body Beneath I've seen, but I need to give it a rewatch because I didn't like it the first time. I didn't really like it when I saw it. We got Torture Dungeon, which is finally available in its director's cut for the first time ever. And with that, we also got Bloodthirsty Butchers, which was my first Milligan film and one of his worst. Again, this one is also director's cut first time, which I'm very excited to get into that. We got this disc, which is Curse of the Full Moon and The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here. Curse of the Full Moon being the director's cut of this film. We got this disc, which is The Man with Two Heads, which was originally known as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Blood, I believe, which is finally uncut. We got Guru the Mad Monk, which is just a fun one. We got Legacy of Blood and Legacy of Horror. I already own Legacy of Horror, but Legacy of Blood is like the theatrical cut, which has been lost for a very long time. Legacy of Horror is the TV cut, which doesn't have the gore. This disc is probably this disc is probably the one that contains the actually like good movies in the set, which is Fleshpot on 42nd Street, which I already own the Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome, which is very nice Blu-ray. I don't know if this version of it is the uncut version that Vinegar Syndrome put out, but I kind of hope it is. And it also comes with Seeds, aka Seeds of Sin, and I don't know. And again, I don't know if this is the director's cut version of Seeds or the like sexploitation Seeds of Sin cut. I know it comes with Vapors, which again, both Vapors and Seeds of Sin were released on a special edition Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome, which is limited to 2,000, and I already own that one. But all three of these films are honestly pretty quality, probably the best of Milligan's work. And then we are on to the final disc, which contains Carnage, which is probably my favorite Milligan film. It's one of his most normal movies. It's not as like inherently theatrical and kind of gaudy as the rest of his work. It's basically just like a ripoff of Poltergeist and the Amityville Horror, and it's simultaneously doing Milligan's classic making fun of straight people bit. But still, Carnage is a very, very fun, splattery haunted house movie, and it's great that it is finally available in HD because it's only been available in shoddy VHS copies for the longest time. And we got Blood, which this is a vampire. I think it's like a vampire and a werewolf combo film, which I've seen it, but I don't remember much about it, so I'm going to give that one a rewatch. And then finally, you got the Bearded Lady's Wake, which is just a collection of original scores and music by Hal Borscht, I believe is his name, who worked with Milligan as an actor and as a musician. I should also mention that one of the special features on this disc is a bonus film called The Toga Party, which is like a sex comedy from the late 70s that Milligan was like a co-director on, or he directed some pickup shots on. But still, this set is absolutely amazing, and I know that one of the discs also includes a German language reel of The Filthy Five, which is one of Milligan's lost sexploitation films. I was really hoping that maybe we would get lucky enough and Severn would find copies of like The Depraved and The Degenerates, but unfortunately, Severin didn't. But they found a snippet of The Filthy Five, which is better than, nothing, in my opinion. But this is an absolutely amazing set. I haven't gotten a chance to dive into it just yet, if it wasn't obvious. But I'm really excited to get into it, even though I've seen a decent number of these, and everything. But I am, you know, a great. I am just really, 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 really into this. And it looks great. This set looks absolutely amazing. I love the design, and I love that it looks very nice right next to the Adamson set on the shelf. That's it. I'm kind of stalling for time at this point, but that's it for this update. Anyway, guys, this is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.